So very quickly, friends, since a master class usually, for those who have been with us in the past, they may know that sometime master class is more like faster than a T20 game. And in that short time span, we have to try and deliver both the concepts as well as contextualize the learning to our own startup for a benefit. Like some of you must have heard what Saurabh bhai was mentioning a few minutes back, that he could get a traction on one of the customers, and that gives us the confidence when we say that we are on the right track. So now I hope Karan has shared through the masterclass 5 detail that what are we going to conduct today. So in that context, a quick request will be that for those who are present, like Prem and Saurav and some of our other friends, that's fine. But for our friends who have come new to the class, what do you think we expect from a masterclass that talks about coming up with innovative solutions? So just a quick one-liner that may help me understand the expectations from, and since it's a small group, we will keep it the same way like we did till now, that highly contextual and specific to the startups that are present here. So if just one line, what do you expect from a masterclass that talks about innovative solution? And that will set the tone for the day. Anyone can begin, and quickly we can hear some of our friends.
So I think one of the things I would look for being is what are the typical mistakes, what are the typical assumptions that we tend to make that sort of make life tough. I think we do tend to have a romantic idea of a startup and all of that, and some of that might help us to sort of.
Sure. So I think that some part of our previous four sessions that we have conducted would be greatly helpful to you, Sunil Bhai, because the recordings are available. If Karan can support on that. The first four were basically assumptions and hypotheses that uh, get formulated in the problem finding space. So each startup is addressing the problem or possibility of a specific area and then coming up with certain solutions. So what we were trying to do is we were trying to use a structured approach to see that can we really dig into the problem finding space and understand that who are all our stakeholders, are there multiple stakeholders within the same ecosystem, what kind of trends, best practices and patterns in context of human, in context of technology and in context of business is sweeping the space that we are in, moving on to getting to root cause of a problem. So getting insights from different stakeholders through exercises of observation, shadowing, being with people, articulating questions and coming up with solutions. All those things were a part of our previous masterclass. And where we concluded was that how important is a problem statement in context of different stakeholders. And in that regard, each startup may have multiple customer segments to address. Which segments to pick up first? Which segment with what objective? Which one will come in second? So for example, some of us may feel, I want to get more number of people coming to my platform. So for them, if that's the objective, what kind of a segment will respond to us the first in context of coming to our platform? Second, if somebody says, no, my objective is basically getting my first 100 customers or 500 customers, then the objective changes and which customer segment will respond the first from the many segments that we may have explored. Or somebody may say, I want to get at least 20 lakh rupees or 25 lakh rupees within the next 2 months. so that I'm able to take my startup to the next level. With that objective, what kind of a customer segment can be focused on? So we were at that point where we were saying that can we articulate our problem statements in context of multiple stakeholders, one, or if we already have well articulated problem statements, then can we test them out? So this is where we are, friends. So what I would understand and request of all our other friends, that since we are moving in a problem solving space and it restricts me to actually take you through the full journey, otherwise this whole session will go into the same. Uh, However, having said that, if you can look at the videos, you'll be able to really work step by step in taking our startup uh, by creating certain hypotheses and assumptions for different area and testing it. Or if we are beyond that stage, then even to an extent of like Saurabh Bhai said that at the beginning of the session, that can we, how do we look at our customer segments and get our first customer? So the objective of our masterclass is always my first customer and my first rupee. And with that as an objective, now we move to the problem solving stage. So if everyone is comfortable, we can begin. Sunil Bhai shared something, so I'll take his view and start the class. Others on the way, you may feel free to put in your request on the chat, or feel free to just stop me and ask a question if that's very critical. So we would take questions on the way. Now, when we come to the problem solving stage, one of the key aspects that I have noticed in a startup is when we say, the moment we say a solution, most of us look at solution from for addressing a problem, which means that we are creating a product or a service for addressing a problem. And so, what are my ideas around the product and service? That's the core. The moment I say that we are in a solution stage, that's usually what comes up. But in case of a startup, since we have been discussing that everything is important, therefore, my request will be we should look at ideation from a perspective that it is not just my core product or service. It could be ideas that I may want to generate related to a value proposition, related to a unique lean canvas, related to unique business model canvas, or related to different domains of business model canvas or the business itself. For example, I'm sure all of us are familiar how important is it to communicate correctly to a specific customer segment. Now, if we say that, then can we find an innovative solution for communicating with a customer segment? Some of you may recall that we discussed about Accenture case last time, where I had shared that the case was Accenture, which was previously Arthur Andersen, a consulting firm, wanted to reach CEOs of Fortune 500 company. But their challenge was, how do we reach them? Because the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are all having multiple secretaries, and they may be blocked to get the information that is being sent to a CEO. So how do we even reach a CEO? And if you may recall, last time we were discussing that how easy or difficult it is to reach a school and get an appointment and meet the right stakeholder in order to even give our solution. So in the edtech space, it's equally challenging. How are we able to create a solution where people may come to us? Can our solution lead to a blue ocean in the area we are present, so that our startup has some kind of attraction? And if those are some of the key directions, what could be the method or tools that we can use on a day-to-day basis to come up with new ideas? So what happens is, generally in case of a startup, we think that it was a great idea. Now it is fine. I've got the idea. So let me go full swing out. Not really. At each step, we may need unique ideas, novel ideas, which are game changers. Sometimes they may be incremental innovations, sometimes they may be radical innovations. Now, if I say that, okay, each startup should come up with a radical innovation in the product or in the way they market or in the way they design, have their HR team, or in the way that they want to get key partners. So many of us will say that it's impossible, because if you're asking us to come up with all those radical innovations for each area of our business, we don't have the tools for it. So our today's masterclass is based on tools. And what I would expect you to do is that please keep what are the top 3 or 5 problems that we want to get solved. So, and here the problem, therefore, the context that I'm setting is the problem could be anything. It could be the root cause of why we exist, or it would be I'm not able to find the right kind of team, or it could be I know that these partners, I need to get them on board, but I have tried and it's not working. My financial model, whatsoever I do, does not match with the expectations that I have. The costs that I want to bring down does not seem to be logically coming down to that level. The channels that I want to use to reach my different segments, I have innovation in one of them, but I am stuck with others. It could be anything. So quickly, friends, the first thing that we need to do is let us write down the top 5 problems, challenges, or possibilities that each one of our startup is facing today. And that is why I'm giving a broader horizon, saying that let's not restrict ourselves to the core problem. Or the symptom, or the pain relievers that we want to give, or the gain creators, or the value proposition. Let us look at the entire business and find out the 3 to 5 problems that we are struggling with today. So will all of our friends be okay if we take a couple of minutes and each one of us can articulate the challenge, the problem, or the possibility? So please don't misunderstand. Sometimes it is not a problem. Like colonizing Mars is not a problem. It's a possibility. We have a dream. It's a possibility. So it's not that we have a dream is a problem. Don't look at only the problem. Sometimes the word problem itself poses a lot of problems and challenges. So let's call it the challenge, the top 3 challenges I'm facing today, or the top 3 problems I'm facing today, or the 3 possibilities I see in front of me. Let's list that. At least 3. I would expect at least 15, but let's start with 3. When I say 15, it could be any area. Any area. It could be a problem related to procurement of the raw material. It could be a problem related to mass production of our things. It could be a problem related to which segment I should approach first. However, if that's the problem, it will go back to the first 4 master classes. It could be a problem related to I have tried everything, but I'm not getting my first customer. It could be I have got my first 50, but I'm not able to move beyond 50. It could be that I have run out of my bootstrapping fund. What do I do now? It could be any. It could be any problem or a possibility that we have. Excellent. Sunil Bhai has already shared his challenge getting employees at this stage. Attract, pay, retain. Good points there. Sunil Bhai will like to solve. Of course, this is not a magic wand. There needs a hard work to be done behind the scene, but I can always give you methods, tools, techniques, and framework. Let's take a minute more and just please raise hands. And yeah, Praveen Bhai is saying converting prototype into a product. Absolutely perfect. Let's look at how we can achieve that. But my request is in the week that follows now, till we have the next master class, at least please identify 12 to 15 problems, possibilities, or challenges, and use today's session to find a solution. And if we are able to do that by next week, I'll be happy that to know that the tools and techniques are working. Yeah. So for today, let's take up one problem that you may have, and let's try to address that how can we solve this problem. So let's begin the session, friends. Moving on. Of course, the first thing is the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas, and we'll go by what Pauline has mentioned. But the challenge remains: how do we get a lot of ideas? Is there a possibility? So yeah, there is a possibility, and some of the approaches that startup should definitely use is, of course, like I said, get many ideas. So quantity of ideas first. Let's not worry whether the idea is feasible or not. We'll worry about that later. First, let's just get as many ideas as we can. Second, are we getting novel ideas, unique ideas? Let's begin there. And third, can we bring in our user or the stakeholders in the process of finding a solution so that they give us some ideas? That's called charrettes, and engaging the customer in order to, or stakeholders in order to solve a problem. So let's begin by this. Let's first see that can we take up, like every class we usually do, is we take up one challenge or one startup. And since there are so many bright minds here, let's take up the first that Sunil Bhai has mentioned. Challenge one, getting employees at this stage. So the in bracket, attract, pay, and retain. I think what he's trying to say is all these three are a problem. Attracting good talent, managing to pay them very well, and the challenge to retain them. I hope, Sunil Bhai, I've got your point clearly. These are the three challenges or the problems that you are facing if you look at getting employees. Am I correct there?
Yes. I've been actually.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So if this is a challenge, let's now take this example of Sunil Bhai and let us open it to the forum. Like we do, we take up a case study every time. Let's today take this as a case study which may help others. Let's find out first. So all the bright minds here, let's find a radical solution to this problem. Radical means game changing, unthought of before. Can we think of a radical solution that can help Sunil Bhai? Yeah, let's keep, and as I said, as many ideas. Let's bring out quantity of ideas. Let's not worry about quality. Quality will take care later. Give me as many ideas you can for Sunil Bhai. Yes, Saurabh Bhai, let's begin.
So tackling one of the challenges is payment. So what you could do is instant payment as soon as the class is completed based on the number of students that came. Usually platforms will aggregate it and pay over a week or 2 weeks. You can do instant. Class khatam hua, 15 minutes, payment is done to your bank account. Use UPI or something like
that. Excellent. So thanks for that beginning. Yeah, Prem Bhai, something, and others, friends, you see, as I mentioned, no, two smiling faces here that keep the class going. I would wish some more smiling faces to see on the video so that it can become more vibrant, and Sunil, Prem Bhai and Saurav can take a break from smiling and all the time. So some others can also join us. Yeah, Khushbu, can you share your idea for Sunil Bhai?
So I can just share like in what I have done in this the
Yes,
last 2 years. We generally, hired a lot of interns, and we trained them, from the initial level, and then we are actually, taking their support. So they are getting training also, and in parallel, I need not to also pay much, to them. So that is also one idea where you can approach to some colleges and do some tie-up where you can do continuously kind of a teaching program for them as well, and then train them on the selling part or education, whatever in your area, and then accordingly,
excellent.
it will be a better idea for a startup if you're bootstrapping
Excellent,
that.
excellent. This reminds me of almost 16 years back when we were establishing our education vertical. One of the challenges we had, because we specialize in previously it used to be called multimedia, then it was called mixed media, then it's called digital media. So we specialize in that area. And 16 years back, we had a challenge that we never were able to find faculties for digital media because the whole field was so new, that where do we find animators and designers and UI UX designers and those. So we said, and one is that challenge. Second is whoever was there was very young. So sometimes the people coming to learn were elder than the people coming to teach. What kind of a cultural situation will emerge in a country like India 16 years back? So that time we had to create a faculty development program, because we said that if we want to open more campuses, we'll need to have great faculty. So at a point when we had 100 campuses, we had to have 750 faculties being trained. Now, 750 faculties, how do we train? Like Khushbu reminded me of few things. One, when we train them, we know now the moment they are trained that they now, when they become good faculties, they also, by the way, also become good designers or good developers, because they have understood the nuances little better since they are teaching. So they do their practice. The moment they become good developers, they don't want to remain teachers. So they say that I'm going to earn 10x more than being a teacher. So why do I remain in teaching space, and why don't I go and work with Red Chili Studios designing visual effects for the Shah Rukh Khan Bhai's Red Chili Studio? So why not I go there and earn 10 times? So we thought that this is an interesting challenge. One. Second, the moment they cross 2 years of working with us, their salaries expectation go up. Our business model may not have the salary that we can pay them. So the next challenge, that if I have to retain, I have to pay more, but my model doesn't allow. Because if I have to tweak the model, my students pay more, the students cannot pay that much. Then I'll have to go and struggle for grants and all those things. I don't want to do that. So what do we do? So what we eventually thought about, what Khushbu just mentioned, can we have an intensive faculty development program where and certify it, that people who will do a faculty development program are qualified and establish benchmark up to this level, so that not just people coming to us, but people across industry can get a certification saying that if they have done so much level, that means they are competent by this method. One. Second, the moment they come closer to 2 years, we said, see, we are training through you, we are training students who get jobs. Now, why don't we give you a job? So we say beyond 2 years, we'll not keep you. We know that it's the saying the other way, no, they're not going to stay back. So why not tell them that, okay, we don't want to have you, we'll get you placed with the top studios, but you will need to ensure that our students need to be qualified to a level that they also get into those studios. Now, you may get at a better salary, they may get as freshers. So why don't you work towards that? And so what it did is that the whole model of education that got created was based on employment or vocation for everyone. So the moment they would come to 2 years, we'll say, okay, now we let us place you. Where do you want to go? You want to stay in the country? These are the top 10. You want to go abroad? These are the top 5. They are all our clients. We simply have to write to them. Now, what happens is, as they move on, they train the new ones coming in, because now it's not about themselves. It is all not about training people, it's about their progress, because we are saying that, see, you are going to Red Chili, so if you are earning X amount in a month, Why don't you encourage others who can earn maybe X by 3 or X by 2? I mean, that's your job. So why can't we raise that standard? So what happened is the entire quality of education started going up simply because it was, let me scaffold. The concept is called scaffolding. Let me scaffold the next person, so he becomes little better and he helps the other person, so he becomes a little better because I am being taken towards my goal. Now, therefore, when the moment Khushbu said it, that came to my mind that can there be a model that itself helps people? So we normally talk of attrition problem. Can we create a model that says that we know the industry attrition is X%, so we will agree to it and we ourselves are very happy about it. But can we create a funnel that brings in good talent? It's the same challenge that Karan is facing at one level. I hope, Karan, you are there. If we create a brilliant funnel to get good ideas and good startups in, it's natural that good startups will come out. No, it's the same funnel that I am created that you get the best. Now, we may say that I am created a model where best gets in, so best gets out. I mean, that's natural. But however, how do you create a funnel where best gets in? And with what criterias and what kind of culture and what kind of... So when we are talking about this, three things important. One, what kind of a business model we create, what kind of a human model, which is what I mean is a culture that we create, which means that do we really respect people for what they are doing with our organization and truly understand their needs. So when we talk of customers and their needs, I think one of the key factors missing is there is internal customer also, which is our employee. So the internal customer needs, many times we just look at end customer need. How do we look at internal customer need? So thanks, Khushbu, you triggered that thought, which says that can we create a model around it? Yes. Now, having said that, we will stop here for a minute because I want to give you tools and we'll run out of time. So what kind of tools do we get? So now we come back to each of our, let Sunil Bhai take the problem from here, his problem. Let us try to solve our problem. I hope everyone has written at least one problem statement. So some of you may be familiar with these tools, but I hope this session today refreshes some of these tools so that we are able to find a solution. So I'm expecting at least some solutions by the end of the class. We are going to therefore begin with one of the most commonly used tool for idea generation across the world, and it is called Scamper. I'm sure some of you must in education must have heard about it. If you have not, don't worry. It's nothing and it's not a scary tool. It's a very, very simple, easy to use tool. Let me share what Scamper means. What we are going to do, friend, is you are not learning Scamper. We are solving a problem. So I'm sure you have written a problem there, each one of us. Let's see, can we solve it by using Scamper? Okay, so where do we begin? How does Scamper work is we need to take the problem and we need to break that into small components. For example, if a problem exists with a bank where people have to queue up to take fund or take money and it wastes 1 hour, the problem is how do I reduce that 1 hour to 5 minutes? Now, one radical idea, all of us know, online banking. No need to come to me. You go online and you can do banking. You don't need to come here. No need to even stand in queue for an hour, but no need to even come here, which means you save petrol, you save time, you save all of that. If the problem was of queue and banking, then what are we looking at? This whole process of where the problem is. So if the problem is at a bank to withdraw money, we don't just take that the people have to struggle for hours to withdraw money. We say, what are the small components that go into giving, withdrawing money? So first thing, I go to bank. First is going. Second, I pick up a slip. The second thing. Third, I have to fill that slip standing there. Fourth, I stand in the queue. Fifth, I give the slip to the person or with the check, or I fill a check, or if you're withdrawing or depositing, then they will do some verification. Then they will do the money has to be there. If they're giving it to us, they'll count that money. Then they will hand over the money. Then I go back out to the bank, carrying that fund safely. Then I reach my home. Therefore, the problem that we are looking at is broken into these things called a value chain. So can all of us break our problem into this value chain quickly? Yeah, I hope we have understood this, what I was trying to say. If not, then just share with me, I can help you. But otherwise, I hope by that example of saying people struggle to withdraw money is the problem. So let me understand the whole process of money withdrawal. People have a problem to retain employees. So let me create a whole way of what all goes in retaining an employee. That becomes our value chain. I do not get good people. So what is the channels of attracting good people? So we are saying, let me understand my process. That process that is behind the problem. Let's make a value chain out of it. What's value is sequential things one after the other. That's it. Anyone who's done that quickly? And don't go too much detail. Let's just create three-step value. This. Like I shared 3 examples. Can we find out for our problem space what is the system or activities happening in that space, which I can break down so that I can look at the problem into these aspects. Yeah. Anyone? Let's take a minute. If you need some thoughts there, let's take a minute and create the activity value chain, process value chain that's prevailing in the problem space. Yeah, if you don't understand, ask me. This is important to do, so feel free to ask. Let me give some more example. Converting prototype into a product. What all goes in converting a prototype into a product? Praveen bhai, step by step, what all goes in converting a prototype into a product? So what I understand is point of view, proof of concept, minimum viable product, and then taking it to prototype. And prototype is at multiple level. It's simply my ideas to paper to a model or a concept to a business. All this to me is actually going closer to a product. Yeah. So in your case, Praveen bhai, what is the converting a prototype into a product stepwise chain? Okay, let me give one more example. What is in Sunil bhai is asking what is a minimum viable product. Now there are many definitions, Sunil bhai, of the same. According to me, as I said right now, first is point of view. So what is my startup's point of view on a problem? Second is proof of concept, my core concept. What is the core objective of a startup? Is that what is the proof of concept that core objective is being addressed? So if a person wants to go from point A to point B safely, will my startup provide a solution for that? I have a proof of concept. I've talked to people. They've given me a proof of concept that if you give me this solution, I'll definitely go with you. Proof of concept. Then we go to the next step. And the next step could be, can I create a minimum viable product? Which means that can I look at the feasibility, the technological feasibility, and the business viability of my solution comes closer to minimum viable product. And when we talk of minimum viable product, the whole range of prototype generally goes around the same. Yeah, I'm sure we have a prototyping session, I think next week or the week after that. But there we will definitely look at this. But I hope I've been able to address how robust must it be, how complete, entirely up to a startup. Credential, find an online verification, research if Perfect. Perfect. Let's now begin. So I hope while I was answering some of the questions, we have created the value chain. If we have not created, don't worry, but we have understood what it is, and later on in the week, we can create it for the problem area that we have understood. Okay. Having said that, let's move on. So the next step that we do is, let's take the problem statement, keep it in front of us. We have the value chain. Now apply Scamper. What is Scamper? Such a simple technique. S stands, they are acronyms: substitute, combine, adapt, modify or magnify, purpose or put to other use, eliminate something, reverse and rearrange. Why we are doing all this? To come up with a solution. So can I substitute something in the value chain with something else? Yeah, like for example, a few weeks back, a person came to a tech startup came to me that he's created. I gave this example before. Now it'll make more sense. He came that he has a board for school children on which they have to write. They put a screen in front. It recognizes what they are writing, optical character recognition, takes that, gives that answer, and tells the child whether he has done correct or not. Now, the board that the person brought, he was so excited to show me that how well he has made that board, which is nothing but a wooden piece and properly crafted and very nicely done, so students can write on it. I said, wonderful. Let's take it to the students and see what happens. The moment he took that model to the school, after 15 minutes, the students put aside the board. They were writing on A4 paper and saying that my mobile is recognizing it, which is your device. So the mobile was the device to recognize. So they are saying, I don't need the board. After 15 minutes, everyone had put the board aside. Student had themselves substituted one of the key elements of his products by just putting a paper and saying, what is the matter I'm writing here? It's getting recognized. Why do I use a board? So they have substituted it. Now, people may substitute that board for something else. People may substitute the mobile recognition for just a camera. People may substitute the experience that somebody is getting. People may substitute the way the problem is being, the way the solution is being given to the people. We can actually substitute anything in the system. Like, for example, instead of full-time employees, we can go by contractual workers. We are substituting full-time by contractual workers. So let's look at our problem statement and come up with, can I substitute something? Now, here you will understand why we do the value chain, or why we break the product or service in sequential aspect, because when we apply Scamper, we have to apply it on something. That something is our value chain or sequential aspects. So if I say, in the banking example, if I have to go from home to my bank to do banking, what do I substitute it with? I substitute it simply by an app. Physical going to the bank, forget that. I'm giving a method. Now, it could also be a phone call. You are my privileged customer. Just make a phone call. Our people will come, collect the check, give it to you, process over. Substituted that whole thing with something else. You're coming to our bank, the bank will come to you. I've substituted that. So therefore, let's keep the problem statement in front, create the value chain or sequential aspects, and apply Scamper. Now, what we'll do, friends, is to open our mind quickly, because we all want our creative gray cells going and firing fast. So I'm going to share with you very weird examples of Scamper. So this will open our mind. Then we will come to realistic examples. So let's see some of the weird examples of Scamper. Yeah, substitute. Yeah, to that extent. Now, somebody may find, I also found it very funny, but it opens our mind to think that, oh, can we substitute any aspect of business? Can we substitute any aspect of a problem? Yeah, substitute. Yeah, of course, this is pre-COVID era, and I hope it remains the same post-COVID. Making a doorknob in form of a handshake, welcoming people to our room, that's a handshake. So substituting doorknob with something like this. Yeah, of course, this is for COVID era, and many will find it very useful or very irritating. Can we substitute something with the other for a purpose that we want to achieve? Substitute. So these are just to open our mind. Don't take them literally. Of course, this is serious for cancer prevention. These are skulls, substituting ash for skulls, and giving out the message. Now, please don't misunderstand. Some of our startup job is also to communicate the core idea of our startup with the customers. Our startup is not just, sometimes we get carried away by the tech side word in a startup and we forget that tech is one part of it. The whole thing is it will sell if it is told well, if it is packaged well, if it is communicated well, if it is delivered well, all that is also business. So in the business, everything that we do in our startup would matter. And therefore, innovation in anything can prove to be a game changer. Quick example, Airbnb had this interesting example of one of the new employees came to the organization, and on the third or fourth day itself, the person came up and said, we show on our Airbnb platform or portal rating by stars. No, usually all the places do that, stars. No, rating, like after this meeting will get over, somebody say Google rate it. So that guy said, see, for us, it is about how happy our customer is. So why do we have to put star? Why can't we put it heart? Because that's happiness. No, instead of star, just let's change heart. So what Airbnb did is whenever they experiment anything on the platform, they actually create an algorithm to check what is the response prior and post. If I change the star to a heart, how are people responding to it? Suddenly they saw a 300% increase in people's response. Now that's a very, very minor thing. It's just a small thing, changing one icon on our platform to something else, but the response of people suddenly went up because it's a psychological aspect. Now I see how much did I like it, and like is a heart. So it's just replacing 5 stars by 5 hearts in sequence. Those things are also part of a startup's creation process. Why do we love some of the products that come to us, extremely technical products that come to us without a manual, and we'll spend days to decode it? Because we simply are intrigued by the way it's been designed to take us in a step-by-step manner. So does our product also lead into same thing? Okay, moving on. And while I'm speaking, please do keep getting ideas. I want let's use Scamper. I'll give you more examples of Scamper, but just for a couple of minutes, let's continue and then come up with, again, a brilliant idea by Revlon. What do you think this would mean?
It signifies dryness.
Excellent. So it signifies dryness, and therefore dry lips, and therefore Revlon. The other thing is range of colors in autumn. The trees, if we see the range of colors there. So what they are also saying, not just dry lips, but also we have shades that range across like autumn. One example gives 2 answers to the audience in a very subtle manner, substituting lips for a leaf and going for autumn. Again, that's substituting something. Of course, all the things there are vegetables, and they created Be Vegetarian, combining things together. Now, why I'm giving this example is I hope it should fire our gray cells for the problem that we are solving, not for these and making them better, but for the problem. Combining, eliminate, example of showing memory loss in Alzheimer's, just fading. So an example of eliminate, Rearrange. Just words being rearranged could mean so much. Okay. Having said that, I hope our gray cells have fired to some extent. These were some examples. Now I can give you classic examples of how Scamper was used by companies. And the objective is we should find how I can substitute something to get a new idea. Coming back to Saurabh bhai, yes, you had raised a hand in between.
Right, sir. So going along the fact of Scamper, it's not only about the product, but what I feel, and I'm trying to get the idea here, is that it can also be the form factor. For example,
Yes.
we might not only think that something can be done on the computer, but maybe it could be voice activated or could be a mobile interface. So it's
Absolutely.
everything, right?
Absolutely. So first thing, most of the startup thinks that my core problem can be solved by this idea, so I should get better solution. No, that is the first starting point. We're not talking about a great idea. We're talking about a whole business. If Edison had stopped at, I have already made the bulb, that's enough. No, he didn't stop at the bulb. He said, what is the next people saying? How do you put it, how do you light my house? It's not about your bulb. My utility is put light in my house. Now that means transmission, generation, transmission, laying of cables, measuring of things. That's a whole industry. And so GE was born. If Edison would have stopped at bulb, we didn't need GE. GE brought all those equipments and machines to the world, which were needed to develop an ecosystem around electricity. So Edison didn't stop at bulb. He could have sold bulbs, but then who's going to provide electricity? Now think about it. No, most of the startups have the startups that there is a classic saying that the success factor one for a startup to succeed is the timing. Success factor one is the timing. There's a very classic TED talk on it online. You can just see, maybe if I can find, I'll give you the link. But what it says is all other things fine. But one of the key things is the timing. Are we perfectly timed? Like we saw, the whole industry of digital transformation boomed in 2 years. It's just the COVID. We were talking about it since last 5 years, but it just skyrocketed. The timing of it, those who were in that space just went ahead and minted. Now, what is our timing for it? It's not that you must have seen classic examples, YouTube. There were platforms already existing that were doing things well. But the moment the streaming went up, the moment why YouTube? Take an example of AI. Why AI is growing today? It's there since 60s, AI, but we didn't have the amount of data that we can handle in order to make decision. We never had that data. That data was not there because we didn't have some computing. Now, so the timing for growth of your startup is key. Now, why did I share in between this thought? Is that when we talk about timing, the timing can be not just the core idea. The timing could be a very interesting model of marketing our startup. May have a right time may have come for a perfect marketing model. Can we look at that? Right time must have come for a perfect HR structure in an organization. So who says that organizations are built by large number of teams? LinkedIn was 17 people when it reached 1 billion, 17 employees. Now, who thinks that with 17 employees, I'll build $1 billion business? It was a different model of HR. How does zero budgeting work in some of the industries? We may say that, no, all startups say that I need to raise fund. But my question is, why do we want to raise fund? I mean, if your idea is really good, people are going to come and take it. So there is something in our idea which has to be innovated so that people, the moment, if people are really in need of what we are giving, it will be like a pani puri. People will queue and come to eat a pani puri irrespective of whether there is COVID or no COVID. Pani Puri sells. So how do we, I mean, this is a saying in a very not so refined way, but that's a business model to be looked at. How does he sell? What's in it that people are expecting? So let's not, please, friends, one of the key things, tools we may get. I mean, you may see the video and get this session and tools, but one of the key thing is, let's not misunderstand ideas as only a perfect solution for our customer. An idea could also be, which customer segment should I attract? Which customer segment should I communicate what so that I achieve my objective? Which customer segment I take from the perspective of pricing? Can we produce innovative pricing? Like Philips came up with the example of their bulb, saying that don't buy my bulb, take my bulb and pay me as you use it. Now, why can't automobile industry come out with vehicles saying that don't pay me down, no down payment. How much you use, pay me that. Now, of course, I don't know how much that will work in what part of the world, but that model may definitely work for some of the key industries. So they change the game, like solar industry. They say that no, why that? I think Saurav gave an example of right now that pay by the hour. Your thing is finished, pay by the hour. We also pay you by hour. Now, of course, that's challenging, because the moment you say that, there are a lot of factors in education. It's like telling that you attend master class 1, you pay right now, then 2 next time, and 3. But that's a real way I would take it. If the master class is helpful, people would line up and come and take it. If it's not working, my product is not working. Why should I keep selling it? I should innovate and do something else that sells. So one key thing here, ideation is not about the core solution. Ideation is everything about the business. Ideation is at HR level, operations level, product creation level, marketing level. How do I scale my thing? How do I communicate my thing? It is at every level. We misunderstand ideation as the solution only and prototype only. Okay. Yeah, Prembhai has to say something. Yes, Prembhai, looking forward.
Yeah, just wanted to share something, sir.
Yes, please.
As you're telling me about, as you're telling us about Scamper.
Yes.
Just until about a couple of days ago, I was in real, trauma, because the invasion and COVID and the last 2 years, about the chip shortage, and it has become very acute now. And I depend on semiconductors quite a lot. I depend on Arduinos and microbits, some of the specialized ones, quite a lot. So literally, the products are absolutely not available now. So, and they're only available. So I was just thinking, what else to do? Should I completely change the business model? Until about 2 days ago, then I narrowed down. What I saw is that there is actually a multitude of opportunities. I can go for a multiplicity of hardware products, but with very slight modifications, with very slight changes, I can actually continue with the same model. So if there are 500 different students, I can send, for 100 different students, 100 students, I can send one product. For 100 students, I can send another kind of board for 100 students, but the course remains the same. So Excellent. This is what it doesn't. The Excellent. Price only manages. Yeah. So this is something, I think, a very classic application of the Scamper method, because it almost actually, it's just, yeah.
Fantastic.
And, yeah. Just one more, this one, that when we are talking about ideation, I wanted to bring in innovation. Like, innovation is normally innovation is a process. It gives rise to, like in the Vedanta, we talk about churning of the ocean, which gives rise to. So innovation is a process like that, which keeps giving rise to things. Whether sometimes it can be undesirable, but later on they can be a very desirable product. But discovery is a particular event. Discovery can happen through serendipity. So I think a continuous thought, a continuous ideation is what actually leads to innovation, and Excellent. Not just we should not stop at one. The moment we stumble upon a discovery.
Yeah.
When you refer to Edison, that thought was very relevant actually. Yeah.
No, absolutely correct. In fact, I would just add one more thing. The key lies in listening to our market, because the market will pose the challenges. Are we able to openly listen to it and then innovate? Innovation is how we respond to it. But first, are we listening to it? So are we open to that? My model, like in case of Sunil Bhai, if HR is a concern, then are we listening to what people are saying? Why is it a concern? Where is the challenge? Is the challenge with the business model? If the challenge is with business model, whatever we may do, we may never be able to pay right kind of money that is expected by the employees. And we may always say that, oh, I'm not getting the right kind of people because people I want to get come at very expensive salaries. If a business model is of that kind, then the challenge here is I need to look at my business model and come up with some innovation in context to a problem which could be attrition related. It's a problem completely different, but it can change my business model, or an innovative business model can actually do something there. Okay. Let me just hold that, Sunil Bhai, because I would wish. Okay, Sunil Bhai, see, I mean, I'll say only two things here. Some of us believe that Steve Jobs didn't never listen to the market and created products, because they say that if we don't listen to the market, how will originality come if we don't listen? But what we are talking about listening to the market is about getting our startup first customer. What I mean by listening to the market is, have we got our first customer? Yes, if we have got our first customer, that means that we have listened to the customer's need. Sometimes it is spoken need, sometimes it is latent need. Steve Jobs was phenomenal at understanding people latent or hidden need. So his products that come out would automatically excite me. But if he comes to ask me, I will say, I don't even know about what you are talking. But he knows my inner hidden latent need. So that's what we mean by listening to customer. Yeah, we don't mean by listening to customer is that they come and say that I want this or I want that. We are saying that what a customer actually needs means at a inner level, which we call insights. The first 4 sessions will help in getting us little bit closer to that step. But just hold it. We'll take your question in a few minutes. Otherwise, we'll miss out on all the tools. So, and we'll pick this up so that both of us go happy at the end of the day, that we have at least created something new through this discussion. So just be there for a minute. Let's see now the tools that we can use and how someone used it to their advantage. These examples are from all across the world. But I've today chosen McDonald's because it's such a variety of things that they've done, replacing the traditional potato chips. What Prem Bhai was saying, this is a classic example here with famous French fries. Why? There was a trend happening in the market that people are moving, and there's a craze for French fries. So why don't I change my offering of my product, which was potato chips, to French fries and see what happens? So they substituted, and so saw that is the French fries which is helping us sell other things now. That's a changing preference. There's a trend happening. Refer to our session number 1. Have we understood the trend well? And can we leverage that trend? The trend could be anything. So can we substitute some part of our product or service with something else which could be either trending or beneficial for us? Here in this case, it's the French fries. In fact, they changed this logo. That's another interesting thing. What significance has logo to the entire business? If you see on the left, this is what their old logo was. On the right is the McDonald's new. Now, why did they want to do this? Because they said McDonald's wants to go across the world. And McDonald's wants to say that what we give you is American food. Now, America doesn't have any food of its own. No, we all know it's people coming from all over the world and bringing their cuisines. Now, for somebody to say this is American food means how do I associate closely to America, my brand? Now, think about it. All of us would have thought about this in terms of EdTech. But here somebody is saying, I want to go to the world and tell them that this is not McDonald's, not a burger, but this is American brand and an American food. So how do I create an imagery for that? In our edutech startups, what is it that a person is looking at in terms of a value? So today I hear, oh, American food, I've never had. What's American food? So they say, McDonald's, go and have, oh, burger. Then that's American food. That's new to me. So maybe that's American food. Now, I don't know what's American food, but somebody's imagery is making me believe that they stand for that. And of course, the Golden Arc bridge and these arcs that we see, and very obviously it looks America kind of. So in that context, the whole logo took them to the world, substituting an existing thing. Here it's the logo. Previously it was the product. I hope we are working on something. The other thing, another whole range of upscale came in when McDonald's tied up with Disney. Happy Meal, that toy that they used to give was such a craze that people would come to have the toy and then the meal would sell. Do we combine our services with something? Do we combine our product with something? Do we combine our business with something so that it can work or be leveraged? What is the in thing? So if I'm not just saying it's all about trend, it is sometimes about combining one thing for other to give a better service or to reduce cost. It could be both. So in that context, can I combine something to come up with a solution? They did that here. Adapt. Now, this is one of the classic ones. The reason they said we want to deliver our burger in a speed in which a racing car, Formula One car comes, gets in a pit stop within seconds and moves out. How do they do that? So they went to that whole operation and saw, how does this whole operation of pit stop work? What do they do? How do they prepare? How do they keep things ready? Now, this is not about just making the burger. It's about how is the entire team geared up? Who does what? How do they communicate with each other? How do they know that this car is coming in? What I need to keep ready? All that thing goes into adapting something from one industry to another. In fact, they adapted one very, very interesting thing from Ford Motors, McDonald's. And what that was, I'm sure all of us are now familiar, the assembly line. What challenge they were facing is my product is not getting standardized. Each of my outlet makes a burger, but somewhere it's big, somewhere it's small, somewhere it's lighter, somewhere it tastes different. Then they said, which is a product that is completely standard, exactly looks same. So they looked at Model T of Ford and said, this car looks exactly the same, all of their cars. How do they do it? So they went back to the factory and saw, oh, it is an assembly line. The whole concept of assembly line was taken and brought to McDonald's to standardize their products. Now, can we do that in EdTech space? To bring something from some another industry, best practice, and adapt that to our industry? I'll give another quick example on this, because the first three are actually big idea generators: substitute, combine, and adapt. The rest of them are also useful, but of all the sessions that I've taken, I've seen maximum people getting ideas from the first three: substitute, adapt, and combine. Coming to modify or magnify, can I modify something to suit a requirement of a customer segment and do something with the B customer segment, which Prembhai was just mentioning? So can I modify something there in my offering? Can I create multiple products or services out of it for different markets? All that goes into modify. And then can I magnify? Magnify is just a concept of thinking big. Can I magnify and think big and see that what could be the game changers in future? Just by thinking big and thinking small, can I bring some ideas here? So in some case, what Prembai was saying, getting a chip and now tying up with a chip manufacturing, of course, we know the reason for the shortfall of the chips, but then on the other hand, can we look at if we magnify our business tomorrow, or if I mass produce? If I think small, I'm saying, can I go to the micro level of production, like personalized production on 3D printing? Vis-a-vis, I go into the other side, which is magnify, which is mass produced production. So when we talk about that, or should we go of a model of internship based education, or we go a template based education, intern based or apprentice based education vis-a-vis the template based education? Do we go for mass level education, or do we go for personalization of it? What kind of ideas will come to it when suddenly we say, I'm delivering to 20 people in a class, to I have to deliver to 2,000 people in class? Suddenly my whole game changes. If I'm delivering 200 people on my platform, I say, let's deliver only to 20. Can we still make money? All those ideas will start pouring in. So it is modify and magnify there. Put to other use, brilliant. Only one key factor here I'll give. All edtech should definitely focus on data, because all of us will be getting to work with a lot of young people, which will bring data to us. So can we put the data that we are generating to some another use? That's put to other use. In fact, in case of McDonald's, their biggest business is real estate. We all know that. It's not selling of burger. They hire a place, they buy a place and then rent it out to the franchise. So whether burger sells or not, they get their rent. They also land also escalates, never a loss. They used an existing facility or a resource and put it to some another use. Do we have such resources in our startup which we can put to other use? Do we have such activities in our startup that can be put to other use and give us benefit? Like for example, many of the education companies put their teams to use in terms of not just delivering education, but also creating awareness about it. Completely different model. Creating awareness and delivering are two different things. Can we put to use the platform that we have created for some cross benefit of others? So here is put to other use. Of course, eliminate. Here the eliminate is a classic example again, what McDonald's did. This is how McDonald's used to, or everyone used to sell food. The cars would come in, families would come in, a waiter or waitress would come, take an order, go get us the food and bring it back. They said, just eliminate. Let's eliminate this whole thing and let people come to us. If people come to us, let us see whether it will work or not. And I mean, each of this example we are seeing from McDonald's has been game changer. That's why I'm saying, don't treat McDonald's as a large one and we are startup. Whenever they made this change, they were the first to do it in the world. They were not that large. But they got that idea, made the change, took that risk and changed the industry. Then everyone changed to self-service. Come and have a self-service, complete elimination of in that business model. Now, if it may not work in other business models, but it worked in the business model that they were propelling at that time. Reverse or rearrange, completely a brilliant example. Complete game changer. All restaurants come, eat, then pay. They say, first you come, first you choose, you pay, then you eat. A complete game changer, reversed the entire method of how people, and please remember, right now we are seeing this case as a reverse. What they did, and we know what happened. But when they did the first time, what kind of situations would have led to something like this brilliant ideas? And all of these ideas they've applied. They said, come choose the menu, and what people really liked, not too complicated, already there on the screen. First, everyone discusses this, saves time. I go and pay, I'll get it. The whole assembly line is working behind to do that. But if I make them sit, they take that time, they discuss with each other, then they will be the question answers and those, they're not in that kind of business model. So how well are our activities also aligned to the business model that we have developed? These guys were into fast food. They're not into sitting and having 7 course. So their business model says, let's innovate at everything that we are doing here. Coming back to now the most important aspect, how do we use Scamper to come up with ideas and solutions? So let's this week you will of course receive these notes, but request choose the top 3 problems that we are facing, and can we use the technique of Scamper in order to come up with ideas. Now Scamper is why I gave Scamper. I could have used technique like Triz or something else, but I wanted to use Scamper because it's very easy. Second, it covers almost the entire activity of innovation that happens. Can I substitute something? Can I put 2 things together? Can I adapt something from somewhere? Can I modify or magnify? When we look at all these words, they are almost holistic in terms of idea. For example, metaphors. Metaphors are taken from somewhere, applied. That's something like adapt. Other techniques like connecting one thing with another to come up with the third, it can be combined to come up with third solution. So therefore, Scamper becomes a very interesting technique to use. Now let's come back to Sunil Bhai, because Sunil Bhai and Ashutosh Bhai are new to the session. Little relevance to early stage. Sorry to be critical. No, you don't need to be sorry. I mean, the idea is, are we? Let's take Scamper and see that can Scamper help you, Sunil Bhai? Let's start there. Can Scamper early stage, or don't worry about the stage. One thing I would request, if you can go through the first 4 sessions, because what happens is it was a train going on and some of us have joined at a midway stage where we are considering that at this stage, correct me if I'm not wrong, every startup has looked at global, local, regional trends of technology, human and business. They have looked at multiple stakeholders. They have done an in-depth study of understanding their stakeholders and need. They have come up with observing the place where the problem exists and have articulated several problem statements. That is where we take that, okay, everyone is. If that's the case, now we are in a solution stage.
Right.
So in that context, let's look at it, Sunil Bhai, that where can idea generation help you? Do you think that there is a need for idea generation in your startup at this stage, or you think that your startup is in a stage where you are trying to still work out on the problem where it exists?
Sorry, if you're asking me, no, the problem statement is clear, ideation is clear. My challenge right now is actually building it. And I have spent months trying to get people.
Yes.
And even if I want to offer a paid internship, I think the market for people is so hot today that I am just unable to attract people. So
Okay.
that's the challenge right now. And I'm not really certain how I can ideate around this problem. So, but I get your point. I'm not able to figure out how to ideate around this problem.
Yes.
So, and I understand what you're trying to say. It makes a lot of sense because one has to solve the problem anyway. So
yeah, how do we get our first customer? So you have already got your first customer. Now you are trying to scale up the business. Am I correct, or we are waiting to get the first customer?
No, I'm still waiting to build the product.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Now, if that means that we are at a stage where we have understood clearly what the problem is from the market, and we are building our product. You have already built it because I saw that you have shared with us. I think, have you shared with us the site address?
The product is not, site is
No,
there.
yeah,
Product
yeah.
is still off. Yeah.
Yes. So now there may be, Sunil bhai, several aspects to ideation at this stage. For example, what if suppose there are different customer segments and each segment has a different expectation, how will I come up with ideas for those different segments? One. Second, once I come up with that core idea for a specific segment, how do I now build my product around it? So that makes, in our case, feasibility is important. Now, what is feasibility in our case? Feasibility to deliver a service in a minimum, in a specific cost, regularly, that is without interruption, having a right kind of technology to do the same, maintaining the level of quality that I have to look at. All these become several steps that need to be actually addressed, so that, like, for example, if you ask me that is this masterclass replicable, my first answer would be possibly no. The reason being that if I am one and I have chosen a business model to address people in a one-to-one manner, I may not be in a position to replicate it. But if I say, okay, if I want to create a whole module around it, can it be by a string of hybrid model? Sometime we meet, sometime I send templates, sometime I send video, sometime we create interactive sessions. All that, it may happen. Yes, I may replicate it to some extent, not necessarily to the level of the quality that may happen face to face or one to one. However, what we are saying here is, can we look at each aspect in a customer segment and come up with some unique ideas there, which I'm sure you have done. Yeah, now I'm sure you have done that part. Now, how does that become a business? So we go back to a business will involve all the 9 different aspects of business that are mentioned in a business model canvas. Or if we take up a lean canvas, open source, you can just take that and see, have we addressed all of this to serve a purpose? If not, then there is a problem somewhere there. Wherever there is a problem, can we apply a tool or a structured approach and use the team? I'm sure you may have a small team of people. Can we just sit with them and apply Scamper and let them come up with ideas, and then see that can some of those ideas be really applicable? So that's the purpose, that can startups use a structured approach to idea generation? The ideas could be for any area.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So in this week, I would personally expect, and it's not necessarily Scamper may work. Sometimes when we are applying Scamper, it's actually telling just our mind that I'm searching for ideas. It can come from anywhere. Post application of Scamper, we have let the seeds sow that I need a solution for this. Suddenly an idea may come from anywhere. So what I'm trying to say is, let's use this week and apply Scamper at least 2-3 times with the team. So let's not do it alone, because sometimes you will see the advantage of applying Scamper in a team. Can we do that and see that what are the answers coming? And let's not select those answers. Let's take up all the answers that are coming on a big wall, and then stand back and see that, is this data making any sense to me for solving my problem? But the starting point is, for Scamper, is the problem and the domain in which the problem exists. Yeah, Saurabh bhai, anything from your side?
This is actually in the beginning of the session, you said that this is going to be very valuable, and I can see the Scamper. And actually, for the discussions next, I think that is one I might as well initiate this conversation and ask the potential customer or leads, saying, well, okay, we understand there's a problem is there, and how would you think you could solve it, or how can we participate in common? So it becomes a collaborative, but we're applying Scamper. So I think this relates to the first or the second session when we said that initiating the conversation is good, but now the tool is there as to how to structure that conversation. And I think this is where it fits in very beautifully.
Yeah. So what you may also do, Saurabh bhai, one quick suggestion, don't open the entire problem space.
Yeah.
We can actually break that problem into small components, and let's not show all the cards and just show the one part of it. That what do you think is happening here? Can you give me some ideas around the same?
Right.
If I change something like this, will it make sense? If I add something to it, will it make sense? If I modify something, so help me out. What do you feel about this? And the moment we get that, if not any solution, the customer experience will go up.
Yeah.
Because what you are trying to say is that I'm listening to you. And if I'm listening to you, then people would always say that we welcome those organizations that are open to change and bring about those. Yeah, thanks for that. So let's catch up next time. But Sunil bhai, my request, can you just, for the sake of it, apply Scamper for the team on one problem, and then if you don't get an answer, I'd like to help you out there.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm sure we would, at your expertise and years of experience, it's always worked. It's only because it's a trigger to our mind for ideas. Scamper may not work, but then idea will appear. Since we have started to think, two things, since we have zeroed down problem, we have created value chain for the problem. So which means we are already thinking about where do I look, what change I bring about, and then I apply Scamper so that it is both understanding the problem space well and applying Scamper to the same. Yeah. So I think Karan bhai will stop here. Thanks, Sunil bhai, for your time. And same as Ashutosh bhai and Saurav, I'm happy that you're getting traction. Let's just move full swing.
Yes, sir, with the help, and definitely. And this has happened. I mean, chasing the different customers coming from different segments and stuff. It's a continuous learning, and that is where today the conversation which I'm having is also a product of the conversations where some people said, well, this might not work. And
yes,
reintegrate that into how to even phrase the next set of prospective customers and initiate this conversation. So that is actually where it is coming out. Right? So more will come, and I think Scamper this week will be very useful. So I'll work on that, and then we'll come back following week.
Yeah, we'll send you the slides right away.
Sure, sir. And thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure. Thanks, Karan bhai. Good wishes.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.